I create new videos each week, so don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell. Okay, so how do you make your old beat up drum set look like $1 million on a budget? Now keep in mind that I don't finish drums for a living. In fact, I've never done this before. This is my first attempt. So if I can do this and get results like this, there's no reason that you can't too. Now until recently, I've been using my GMS drums that I bought back in 1995. So I bought this drum set around 2002, 2003. My goal now is to make them look and sound just as good as my GMS kit. I ended up buying this drum set used. It was a Pearl 80s MX. I got it for a great price and it had this yellow wrap finish, which was awful. It looked ugly, it was kind of beat up. Once I got the drums home, I decided to kill that wrap and see what was underneath. So upon peeling the wrap, it turned out I had this beautiful maple finish. So what I decided to do was just, go with the very basic matte looking maple shell. I didn't even urethane it. I just threw a quick layer of stain on top of it, and that was it. Now for years, these drums served me like that. They sounded great, they looked good, they had that old school kind of beat up look, which I was going for. My goal now is to make them look and sound just as good as my GMS kit. But I want to do that on a shoestring budget. Now if you look at the finish, you can tell it's been under a quick coat of stain for about 15 years, which means it's faded and it's kind of lost its luster a little bit. So I want to try to breathe some life into that. Since I have all the hardware off, I'm going to try to restain and then finally seal and urethane these drums and see what it looks like. Now I'm showing you the drum as it looks right now. Here's what it looks like. You can tell it's maple shell, and there's the Pearl badge. This is just a little bit of a before, and I've already gone ahead and worked on the small tom, so this will show you after staining what the finish will look like afterwards. So the first step in doing that is going to be taking off and stripping all the hardware off the drum. So I'm going to take all the lugs, all the casings, all the hoops, all the badges, everything off the drums, and I'm going to give them a facelift. The next little hack that I wanted to show you is this little deal that I created. If you see, I have this revolving platform here, and this is going to be really nice for sticking the drum on top, going through and staining, sanding, doing everything I need. Whee! Now most guys put it on rollers this way and roll like that, which is probably better. So we're going to try it this way and see how we do. All right, so I went ahead and removed all the hardware from the drum. And I gotta tell you, this little grommet air vent was a bitch because it was all folded in back with all the metal. That took me a little while, but I got it out and I didn't do any damage to the shell. The only trouble I see now is that, it's been sitting around these drums for years and years. A lot of dust has collected on the finish. So I'm gonna go ahead and just take a soft microfiber rag, wet it down, dampen it a little bit, and just give the drum a once over to get rid of all the loose dust and stuff that might be on it. You don't want that stuff to get stained into the wood. This is where our little revolving Lazy Susan comes in really handy. Now I don't know if you can see this on the video, but just wetting that drum down definitely gave that finish some new life because it's really popping out. You can see some more of the wood grain. You got a little bit of a darker color, but it needs to dry a little bit before we could go ahead and apply the stain. So I'm gonna go have some dinner with my wife, and then we'll check on it when I'm done.
Why are you taking a picture of me?
Okay, so we're back. This is all dry, and we are ready to stain. Now again, keep in mind that I am not a drum finisher. This is the first time I'm really trying to do this and do a decent job at it. So I'm just completely guessing here. So we'll see how it comes out when it's all done. But if it comes out good, you gotta figure if I could do it, anybody can do it. And I'm sure I'm gonna get tons of angry comments from real drum finishers that are like, oh, you're doing this all wrong. And I probably am. But you know what? Let's see how it goes. Okay, so I'm gonna start with dipping some stain. I have this old foam that I wrapped up in some used rags here. I'm gonna give this a shot. I'm gonna start from the top. I'm gonna slowly spin my mechanism here. Now what I wanna do is I'm trying to get a fade going. So I want it to be dark up at top, and I want it to slowly fade towards the middle. I'm also gonna put a glove on so I don't stain all over my hands. Keep my hands clean. I'm gonna start again up here and work my way. Remember, towards the bottom, or the middle, I want it to be much lighter. I might repeat this process a couple of times until I get the fade to look the way I want it to look. What I'm doing is I'm trying to make sure I fill in all the gaps and all the spaces that I feel like I'm missing. So I might go back and do a couple of passes on the spots that look like they're a little light. Just kind of using my judgment and going around. All that being said, let's go ahead and flip this puppy over. Try the other side. I want it to be a little darker up at the top, so I'm going to go back over that top. And if you notice, I'm just kind of going around and around, trying to work this in and make it even. I'm just using my eye. Okay, so now we're back and I've let this dry out. So far I'm digging the stain. It's got a nice fade type of thing going on. But if you notice, I didn't touch anything in the middle just yet, so we got a pretty clear line between where I stained and where the old finish is. So what I want to do is I want to kind of blur that line out a little bit and make it a little bit more graduated and even throughout the fade. So now what I've done is I've taken my Minwax Dark Walnut stain and I've cut it about 50% with this odorless mineral spirits. Since it's an oil-based stain, they suggest that you use those mineral spirits to mix with the stain if you want to dilute it instead of water, because water is not going to really work. I've taken an old tuna can here and I've mixed up my stain. A little stain, now you can see right off the bat, or at least I can, this is already way diluted. So I'm going to start spinning, start at the top, same way, and work my way down. Now what's also good about this spinning turntable situation is it kind of wipes the stain as I go, because you don't want to leave stain on wood just to sit on top of the wood. You kind of want it to work in, so you want to wipe away the excess. But I am going to go from the top down and then the bottom up, or I'll flip the piece around. Now we're getting a much more even stain from the top to the bottom, and the mineral spirits are actually going to even out that staining job and make it a little bit more uniform. Lastly, what I want to do is I'm going to go back through the whole thing and just kind of wipe off the extra stain. Good. As you can see, that kind of just wipes off some of the excess stain. Now this is already the third drum that I've done this with, so I'm getting better at it each time I do it. I started with small tom, if you can see, which is this. And already I'm looking at it and I can see I did a much more even job this time with this tom versus this one. Alright, so I didn't want this video to be like an hour long, so I decided to cut it up into segments or parts. So that was the end of the first part where we talked about staining the drums. In part 2, I want to talk about what I did to finish all of this hardware and give it that nice, dark, oil rubbed bronze look. In part 3, I'm going to break down exactly what I did to add the polyurethane and seal the drums. And in part 4, we're going to talk about exactly how I rubbed out and polished the polyurethane to a finish. And of course, the end result is going to be this. This is what these drums will look like when we're all done. I hope you really dug the video, and if you did, do me a favor, support the channel, throw us a like on the video, and subscribe. And remember, when you subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get alerts on when new videos are coming out. Thanks again for checking it out, and I'll see you next time.